At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am...
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Country, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday, it's Focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information. Talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business,
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the only and original On Point. Time like these, when our nation's sovereignty is in question, at times we need to go back to the roots. We pledge our allegiance to the Republic of Liberia. We will always be strong in this union. We will hold it forever. And the refrain says, the Lone Star forever, the Lone Star forever. Unfurled in the currents of having pure breeze. Oh Lord, may it flow over land and overseas. Desert it, no, never. Uphold it, ever. Oh, shout for the Lone Star banner, hooray. Let me welcome Victor Nambe. Welcome to the show.
Hey, happy Sunday, Mr. Gilman and Mr. Howell. Dr. Booty is going to be with you guys. Last Sunday of March 2026, going to be here. Thank you, audience, for joining us. Please invite a friend. Let's have a great show.
Share the show. Let me welcome Dr. Booty, Dr. Fidel C.T. Booty. Liberia needs your intellect. We need your patriotism. We heard the two greatest songs in my book ever written about the Republic of Liberia, the Lone Star Forever, and the national anthem, All Hail Liberia. Hey, welcome to the show.
Well, first of all, in my book, those are not the two greatest songs. That my era.
I talk my own, talk your own.
I'm talking about that my era. That my era is one of my greatest ever Liberian songs. Those two songs were written by Padmo and his family. They do not represent the rest of us Liberians. It was written for the individuals who came to Liberia from the US. So it's not a song that represents myself, Mr. Tao, or Mr. Nang. But obviously, I know your people came as well. So hence you're very patriotic about that song. But I don't think the rest of us are. Anyway, no, it's great to be here as always. Looking forward to another great show.
I saw somebody in a Guinea uniform coming to take back the land. Looked like you. I hope it wasn't you.
it might have been. It might have been.
Dr. Taiwo, Honorable Taiwo, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Hi to my fellow panelists and to our viewers. Dr. Booty, thanks very much. The song doesn't represent me and my people. When the song was written, it was Congress that took over and they laid claim to everything. That is when those songs were written. They didn't take us into consideration. There is nothing wrong with singing the song now for where we are, but we have to admit that and we have to point that out. But I'm glad to be here to be part of this discussion.
Thank you very
Let me
much.
just say something. When President Tinubu came to power, he changed the national anthem of Nigeria. So we need to consider changing this thing you're listening to here that you're so proud of.
Thank you. Until it is changed, that's what was bequeathed unto us. Your great grandfather for Grand Cru from Bujirabo, from Grand Bassa, never wrote one until the settlers came, and they wrote it. Until you can write your own, we will worship, we will sing, we will salute the Lone Star forever until those country boys and girls that are now in power decide to do something better than get money and get teacups to people. Until Zoe Penner agrees to do something better than get teacup, you are wasting your time. Your country people, you are wasting your time. But ladies and gentlemen, share this show today. We will be talking about patriotism. We'll be talking about corruption. We'll be talking about Fidel T. Booty's nephews and cousins and brothers in the House and the Senate looting on an industrial scale. These are the country people. I will be talking about those who say they came and they conquer us, and they wrote that Joseph Tawo's take. They conquer us, they came. Well, you reconquer the land, you repossess the land in 1980, it's been 45 years. You are still in the wilderness. Victor Nangwe, according to Mr. Tawo and Booty, we are still in the wilderness. When will their Moses come?
Well, we've been coming. I would say since 1980, we've been coming. But what is happening is liberation is a process. Yeah, sometimes you have a revolution, but it's actually an evolution. It happens over time. What we're trying, we're still what's holding us down is the vestiges of the old order. I mean, poverty is still with us. Minimum education is still with us. And all those things that held us down, the majority of them are still here with us. Plus, elements from the old order that is still trying to maintain the status quo, they're still here with us. So it's a process. I dare say that most of the actors in government are not necessarily the best of us. This is knocking on anybody in government, but we've also had some of our brothers and sisters who have been opportune to serve, who I think have not taken, I'm not given seriousness that I think the opportunity being given deserved. And so it's a process. We're getting there. But yeah, I agree with them, Dr. Booty and Mr. Towell. Some of the old trappings, are still with us, such as the seal of the Republic of Liberia, the national anthem and other such things. Those things do not represent the entirety of the citizenry. Most of our people have said that. I know there was a movement by Dr. Fumbler and others after the 1980s to change most of those. The flag, the national anthem, the seal, all of those things. They felt they needed to be more representative of the entire citizenry of Liberia. So I agree with them, but I think it's going to take time.
Go ahead, because
no, I'm going to pass it. I'm going to pass it on to you. I was going to say the one thing I would say is we have now pluralized participation in government. Howbeit, now that we have a multiplicity of parties, we were looking for multi-party democracy. Just this morning, Ambassador Nelson and I were talking. I think we have about 46 registered political parties. Apparently, in the last election, there were 20 registered. Now we're more than double that number. So our people are getting used to the concept. So it's going to take time to refine it. That's where I was going. But thank you for the opportunity.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here talking issues. I was trying to give my Presso Award to the panelists that would try to twist themselves into Presso, but today, look, it's going to be a tie. It's a three-way tie between Honorable Nambe, Dr. Booty, and Tao. They are tying themselves into knot. Someone said, one of them said that, I guess this week we heard that the finance minister said that GT Bank is the hold-up for not paying people on time. GT Bank came back and said, don't try it. The only way people get paid is when the money comes from the finance ministry. No money has come from the finance ministry. That's why the people are not getting paid. So these people are saying the Congo people came 200 years ago. They went to the bed last week and didn't put the money there. It is the Congo people that gave us $10,000 a month plus car, plus gas, plus how do you call it? Generator money. It is the Congo people that got us to be raping our own women and children. It is the Congo people. So, Dr. Buri, I feel sorry for you. You have tied yourself into a knot. So you are tied with Victor Nambi. You are tied with Tao. I don't know if you can untie yourself. We have not even gotten to the topic, but try as much as you can to untie this knot. Go ahead, talk. Tell me how the Congo people mismanage your $1.1 billion you were celebrating 2 months ago.
Well, if I'm tied with the minds of J. Victor Gnambe, who sacrificed his life during the 70s to fight for what some of us have been arguing for years in terms of the ability of our people to participate in governance. And with Mr. Tao, who I'm starting to agree more and more with in terms of the system of governance that we have not being suitable for, then I'm happy, right? If that is the kind of people I'm tired of, I'll sleep good tonight. So I don't want to untie myself. So I'll pass it on to Mr. Tao. I'm happy to be tied with to these two gentlemen.
Mr. Tao, you remember during the day when people go steal, when they catch 2-3 rows, you tie their hand together. You know what? That's how we do to you today. 3 of your hand tied.
But look, this stuff, we laugh a little bit here and joke about it. But this is where our problem is. We really don't want to look at history. And the people who refuse to study history will constantly repeat stuff. We want to talk about the country people or the Samuel Doden that took over quite all right. And yes, they all did wrong. But what system were they following? What system? That system is the issue. My brother Nangwe just mentioned that, that there are 40 political parties now, or 26 or whatever it is. Those are where the problems are. Put 10 political parties in America and this place go in flame. Put 8 in England and they're in disarray. Africa is the only continent in the world where you hear multi-party democracy. There is a reason why. Imagine you in your house trying to run your house and you have 10 other opinions and positions that every decision you want to take, there is a talk, there is a push, there is a pull. The whole family, the whole house will collapse. Show me one country in the world that rose using democracy. Show me one. It doesn't exist. America did not rise using democracy. They use a single, brutal, focused system. Look at China. China rose. Malaysia, Indonesia, France, England. It is after they rose and they had an entire system in place and they had the whole thing under control. Then they said, now look, this is the way everyone else should function, the very means that they did not use that could not work for them. The West used researching nuclear stuff, built the nuclear bomb, tested it, killed a bunch of people. The Chinese built this, the British, everybody built this. Then they turn around and say, okay, now look, we got to sign a treaty, non-proliferation. So they start a system, they achieve it, they master it, they set themselves in place, they have control of it to benefit, then they come with a rule that cannot be used to achieve that same thing. They use fossil fuel for them to develop, for them to industrialize. Then they turn around and they say carbon emission, and they're trying to pass a law. So you can look at it over and over and over. The history is there. Until we can get rid of this stuff, it is not the form of government that you have. It is a system that you have that allow mobility, social mobility of the population. China is not using democracy. You think there will be revolution there now, but they have a system that allow mobility, social mobility. People know that if they work hard, they're going to move up in status. That is all. So we shouldn't let us not get caught up into the other one. They want the democracy. They want is this one. No, let us set up a system that allow everybody to have a stake, that they know that if they apply themselves, look, that was one thing that made America the great, that they always mention, that if you came here, or if you are here and you work and you apply yourself, there is the opportunity, there is a chance, there are options that you can move up socially, social mobility. So no, we shouldn't just come here and say, oh, that they come up with the people that take over. What system are they using? A system that allows for them to set their own salaries, their own benefits? A system that allows them for them to get paid when they say the government does not have money? Then how are you getting paid? So the system is upside down. It needs to be tuned apart. So that is why, so nobody, whether the country people take over, whether another Congo people take over, whether the Fuller Defense Force take over, it is going to be the same outcome. The system in which you're working, the system is set up and it restricts you. It is a corrupt system. You get in there, you're going to be corrupt. It does not allow you, if you want to do the right thing, you get punished. This is the reality. And until we can see this and say, you know what? It's not just because people that get there are bad. While some of them actually have, but the system actually make you bad. It makes you to be corrupt. It does not leave the chance for you to be honest, for you to try to work for your people. Okay? So we need to look at that system. We need to either tear it up, or we need to remove the things that are, and we can start very easily. The senators and representatives cannot set their own salary. I have actually proposed here that the two that branch need to be dissolved. They don't need to exist.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, Len.
At some point, if the country moves to a certain level, then maybe we look at bringing them back in some form, reestablishing it, if we have all of the systems in place. So until we can do this, we keep trying to do the same thing. What they gave you cannot work. It was never given to you. Look, I will say this and I will close on this right here. If voting and the electoral politics, which is actually a scam, if it was good for you, the West will never give it to you. The West will never insist that is what you should practice. Why don't they insist that you must build power? You must build roads. Why don't they insist on that and impose sanctions based on that? But why do they always insist only on the democracy, the electoral politics? Because it's corrupt. It is porous. It is easily manipulated. This is the reality. Until we can actually conceptualize this and try to move in that direction, it doesn't matter how many elections we have. It's not going to work.
Excellent, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, please share the show on your platform, in your groups. Send in your comments. We are reading them, and we will read some of them out. Well, listen to this, though. We're about to go into our schedule. But 1979, I know Honorable Nangbe and myself, we were in Liberia running around. We were part of the rice riot. That protest was filled with optimism that if we got rid of the True Wheat Party, things would be better. We did change the system. We moved the Congo people out of the way. We brought in the natives. I understand the system. Some of our educated country boys were even more educated than the Congo folks. And you think they came to this party with one intention to train and change the system. Instead, they improve on the corruption system. The Congo people may have been corrupt, but these country boys and girls have taken corruption to another level. Now they are absolute corrupt folks. So spare me the rod about the system. You have all the weapons, you have all the instruments and all the tools to change that rotten system. Instead, you native boys came from Grand Jide, Nima, Bassa, no, not Bassa, we go with a lot of Congo people up there. Nima, Bon County, Lofa, Bomi, Bapolu. They look like kids in a candy store. They're all over the place, wallowing into filth. And you want to blame me on the Congo people, spare me the grief. But let's go to number one on our list. Ladies and gentlemen, April 14th is around the corner, so we're going to be doing some patriotic things from now until the 14th. Next week, we are going to be playing one of the greatest speeches in the Republic of Liberia by the former president, late President William Arato, right after the rice riot and the loss of lives and the almost collapse of the economy. Great speech. We will listen to that. We will also listen to the speech 1980 after the coup. We'll listen to the Master Sergeant Samuel Kayando. And we will listen to the guy that came after him, Charles Gange Taylor. And then we will listen to Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And then we will listen to great George Fokeklo Manewia. And then finally, we will listen to Joseph Yuma Boakai. We report and you decide. That's our job, to dig up bones. And you got to do the forensic evidence to see whose bone this belongs to. But for now, let's go to our panelists for what we have as our manual. That was just a teaser. You know, the month of April is going to be wacky. We are going to be going to Liberian history, our struggle, the coup, the counter-coup, all the way to the death of President Doe. But let's go to number one on our list here. A few days ago, after a week, maybe a little over a week ago, we saw the proliferation of foreign soldiers on our soil. We dug into why they were on our soil. What were they looking for? What precipitated the arrival of foreign troops on our soil? And it ties into what we are talking about here when we're talking about the country boys have come in and they are just all over the place. Unpatriotic to the point where sand digging have brought our country into war. Basically at the verge of war. That's greed. The president appeared and spoke to the nation. He said, stay calm. We are in full control. The president and his partner in the Mana River Union, Marabio, flew to Guinea, met with Doumbouya, and they had this great photo up. Everything was fine. By the time Joseph Boakai touched down in Liberia, Doumbouya and boy, they had crossed the river. When Joseph Boakai looked behind, he saw nothing but a Guinean. So when Joseph Boakai was running for president, he said one thing. He said, if something is chasing you, don't stop until what chasing you stops. Doumbouya been chasing Boakai and he's not stopping. So here we are. Budi, let me go to you. It says here, the French ambassador confirmed, this is March 25th, 2025. The French ambassador confirms in Monrovia that Boakai had talks with Macron about the dispute over Guinea and asked the president to use his leverage to convey his message to Doumbouya to don't do what he's doing. Budi, this is where we are. Why not the president of the Ivory Coast, Ouattara? Why not Mahama in Ghana? Why not Tinubu? Why Paris?
Well, there are a lot of reasons that you can give. I think one of them is the fact that Doumbouya is pure, is a crony of the French. I think he was in the French Legion.
Yes.
Is married to a French woman as well.
Yeah, she was also part of it.
Exactly.
Security
So
services.
it's clear that he is a crony of the French government. Why you go to Macron is because you believe that he has the direct ears of Doumbouya, and if he tells him don't do this, that he will yield. Clearly, Macron don't believe that he should be getting involved in this. Obviously, I don't know why you would think like that way. But what I want to focus on is something I said. I think it was last year or the year before. Whenever this Guinean citizen came to Liberia and was handed over to Guinea clandestinely without due process. And one of the things I said, and I'm sure Mr. Tao will echo this as well, is that once you tell the Guineans that you are a dog with your tail between your legs, then they're going to treat you as such. Right. So the fact that the Guineans are emboldened to do what they're doing is not necessarily because they believe that Liberia has a weak army, but they know that this president is weak, right? And basically, when they ask him to hand over a person without due process, they did so and didn't even flinch. So they know that, oh yeah, if we go and do something again, they're going to hide in a corner, right? Now, nobody wants war between Liberia and Guinea. I think we're neighbors for all intents and purposes. We have been for a long time. The history between the two countries is long and very intertwined. You've got, along the border with Guinea, you've got people who are from similar tribal groups that live on both sides, like the Pele, the Manos, the Bedingos, and others, right? So it's important for us to have civility between us. But at the same time, when a neighbor is bullying you, you need to be able to stand up and say, look, no, this is unacceptable, right? And the fact that we didn't do that initially just set the stage for these kind of things to happen. And now it's difficult for you to kind of rewind and expect, the person, like me coming to your house, Mr. Gayman, walk into your house, and I don't even greet you, don't greet your family, walk straight to your fridge, grab something to drink, right? And then walk out. And you say nothing to me, and then next time I come, I'm going to go and lie in your bedroom and sleep, right? Because if I came and went in the fridge, you didn't say anything, then obviously I can do whatever I want to do. And that's exactly what's happening here. And it's a shame that this president and his government lay this bed down, and now they have to lie down in it.
Let me go to Honorable Tao. Let me read exactly. There are three things going on here. The last piece of this particular segment is going to be the president's, the administration response to you, to Victor, to Booty, and myself. The administration said the government calls upon all its citizens to desist from making statements that will create instability and escalate the situation. The government is saying anyone caught doing their job, that person is going to be persecuted, arrested. Isn't that censorship?
Yeah. So, in the first place, that the Buddha just put it correctly from what transpired previously. And then, so back to what you were saying, right? So here is the government of this administration here saying that, threatening actually to arrest the innocent people who are the victims of whatever the government have failed to do, that they will get arrested. So the Guineans are also listening to that. Because here you are, people are being displaced. Their homes and their land where they stay in the farms are being occupied by armed men. And a government that came to power that said that they will protect and defend have failed to do that, and they are warning the very people that if they're making a statement or if they take any stand, they will be dealt with. So the government is making a lot of concession. But look, this is what I would say. I don't think, because you see, I spoke to some people in that area and I listened to a lot of stories. Not something that I can actually confirm to be true, but there are some things around it. That what was happening in that river was not sand mining, it was actual mining. That the president may have connection to that. Okay, I don't know how true this is, but I am trying to see that there could be a possibility, because why would the president secretly get up and rush to Guinea, come back? They have not really been able to tell the Liberian people what is really going on. And he then giving an ultimatum not to even make any statement or say anything. This is troubling, because you see, you just made a statement that the country boys are all over the place. And this, we know them in the government, in all the various governments for this. Because if this river is supposed to be the boundary between these two nations, no mining or anything can take place without consulting the other nation. So if this is true, we seem to almost be something that could be true, that the president had his men or people that are close to him, whether with his knowledge or without his knowledge, were mining in the river without consulting the Guineans, because the Guineans not just want to come and just start seizing equipment. I don't think they're really going to just wake up and do that. So there is more to it. When we had this discussion a couple of Sundays ago, we said, I kept saying there should be more to this. Because the Guineans also went on to a land in Sierra Leone. Both the president of Liberia and Sierra Leone went to Guinea. The moment our president touched down, the Guineans were back in Liberia with a flag. The question is, did they go back to Sierra Leone? I don't think so, because I didn't hear anything. So what is actually the issue in Liberia that they came back after that particular meeting? There has to be more. And then I started to hear this mining stuff, and I talked to at least a couple of people that are actually familiar with that area, and yes, that those were not equipment to just dredge sand. They were actually mining the river for minerals, and the president may be complacent in it or trying to cover for somebody, so sacrificing pretty much the sovereignty of the nation to cover a crony or a relative or somebody. And he's not talking to the Liberian people. and he's telling them they have to keep quiet. They shouldn't say anything. Okay, so this is troubling.
Okay, let me. One of the guys that I know, one of the smartest people that I have known in Liberia, is a friend of mine by the name of Joe Moyu. He's a publicist, great writer. The the white guy people may have contacted him because know what he said here. Moyu Joe, he said, this is the situation that required diplomat JMB reached out to Macron Parliament because the root cause of the land crisis was created by the French colonialism. The French created a boundary. So Joseph, we should forget about the diamond and gold that were being stolen from the people place. We shouldn't even talk about anything. Let's just go all the way back because the French drew this. Joe, I tell you what, if anytime I'm in trouble, I need a PR person, I will hire you. You are a Victor. Let me read this. This is from the French ambassador. She said, I need instruction from my government in France because I don't know exactly how Paris is feeling or how France is feeling. I am told your president, Jose Yuma Boyka, has reached out to French president on the situation. If we can help, like the Economic Community of West African States or the African Union, to stop the dispute peacefully, we will. We are friends with Liberia. We are friends of Guinea. We are friends of Sierra Leone and friends of Cote d'Ivoire. Liberia has been at war, and we want to support diplomatic solutions and peace for all. This is the French ambassador to Liberia, Isabelle Le Goulic, the French ambassador to Liberia. She says, we are friends with everybody. So the next day, on the 26th, said Macron says no. Reliable source informed Front Page Africa Wednesday that Macron ultimately signaled reluctance to become involved, particularly in matters concerning Guinea's leadership under Doumbouya. According to the familiar forces with the discussion, the French president indicated he did not wish to interfere in issues directly tied to Conakry, a position interpreted by analysts and diplomats as a deliberate effort to avoid further screening already fragile relationship between France and Guinea. Victor, the president have reached out. Some people say he should have started from within his immediate cycle before he went all the way to France. Now France have said no, they have no interest. What other cause does it leave? Why can he not come back and say, let me go back to Sierra Leone, let me go back to Ghana, let me go back to Nigeria?
Yeah, I mean, look, I read the thing with amazement, the reporting. I am one of those who had advocated since the inception of this that the Liberian government should mount a very robust diplomatic offensive on this matter, because I knew we were not prepared to militarily confront Guinea, and I thought. The president of France, for instance, the president of Rwanda, and I understand even the president of Guinea, and not Guinea, Ghana, might be such people to speak to. And then, yes, AU, ECOWAS, and probably even the UN. So I still do advocate, but I'm just I'm surprised again, I would say a parent, because I don't have the details, the behind the scenes that I hope might have gone on to get us to publicly report that the Liberian government had engaged the government of France. But I was confused with this apparent sophomoric manner in which this is being executed. I'm just really shocked because These are things that you would engage behind the scenes, right? Um, before you make a public disclosure of this nature, you would have done all of the work necessary, behind the scenes, in the back. That might have probably entailed calling in the ambassador and saying, look, um, we want to do this and this. How do you think your government stands on this? Because this ambassador may have been appointed by that president, so they have to be, they have to be either in the same party or like minds, you know, or it may have required the foreign minister flying into Paris and meeting with either the foreign minister or the foreign secretary or even the president, such or finding, but I don't know how much due diligence is put into this because from what I read, it appears since Dumboya came in, even though he is not part of the AES nations, he's acting in ways that suggest he's closely aligned with their posture. I think he may have expelled or revoked a number of concession agreements, trying to, allege that, the West has taken advantage of Guinea and such thing. So apparently he has a not so friendly posture towards Macron. I think we've done some back the scenes, diplomatic, offensive or short. We may have found this out before, and although I have to say apparently because this story was reported in the press not by the Liberian government. I have to give them that. I think it's the French, even though this story was out already, but I think the only person on record is the French ambassador, as you indicated. I don't think the Liberian government has indicated that this is what they were doing. But notwithstanding this information was percolating out there before the French ambassador came in. So yeah, how does it make us look? I think it has made our situation worse because now you've already left the region and you're all the way in Europe and you've been rebuffed by the European. How do you then come back to your colleagues now on the continent and say, well, I need help? The chances are they will first tell you, well, we were here before and you left us here and went to Europe. We're busy, Then you have to remember the way we also conducted ourselves in the region during our speaker removal, brouhaha. ECOWAS Parliament came here twice, and we dissed them. The first time they came, they were report the president was not going to meet with them. Because they said they were representing the interests of Senator Snow. That's what they're reporting. However, he reluctantly met with them. They went back with nothing. They came back again. They went back with nothing. So it's almost like the chickens are now coming home to roost. But it's going to be difficult now. I think it would have been a little easier had we started within the region before going into Europe. Yeah, and I understand the president of Ghana is somebody this man could listen to, or the president in East Africa, Rwanda, Paul Kagame. So to answer your question directly, all is not lost, but it will now require a little more than if we had done it the other way around, starting within the region and going continental, starting in the West Africa region and then probably AU if necessary, or before going over to Europe to go to Paris. I understand the man was serving the French Legion, but this is I understand an outfit that is open to any and everybody. It doesn't have to be you don't have to be a French citizen. You don't have to have any special relations. You just pass the screening test and you become part of it. And he was just a bodyguard. He's a security protector. That was his specialty. How to protect, how to provide VIP protection. So it's not, people make it seem like he was some kind of elite, gendarme or something like that in the French, security apparatus. And because of that, Macron might be the president to talk to. But I think if they had done their homework a little deeper, they would realize, that since this guy came to power, he and Macron are not apparently. That's that. So I know Mr. Taro raising your hand. Lastly, I don't know if they utilize President Weah. Even President Australia, President Weah we understand he's very close to President Macron. Maybe because the President Weah yeah, he mishandled the presidency. I'll say that. But notwithstanding, he's an unusual asset that we have in Liberia. He's a big mega star, and I think we're not using him like we should. I think they could have probably engaged him on this, and it might make a difference. But I'm passing it back to you. Joe had a thing.
Taiwan, I'm coming to you, but apostle here. Okay, Doumbouya, according to what we are hearing, says he needs 100 miles on the other side of the border, 100 miles. That's the territory. That will include FOIA and everything else. So Joseph Walker wakes up tomorrow, he's a Guinean. Can we impeach him? He's not a Liberian. Just a joke, but go ahead.
Yeah. Listen, before Joe comes in, let me recognize Michael, our friend Michael here. I don't know what is appearing on the screen, but he sent his greeting from Nairobi. I just wanted to say what's up there, Mike. Be careful out there. But go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so
were you talking about Padmo?
Yes, Padmo. He said it in the chat, but it's not in the comment section. It's on my device. So
listen, you ain't your friend Legionnaire.
We have a thing going on. Maybe Dennis Jar doesn't like it, so you're not letting the comments come through it.
Joseph Taiwo, so tomorrow Joseph Waka might be a Guinean. So he's got to get back our position, man.
Yeah. So look at what happened here. It's not just on this Doumbouya guy, but Guinea. They are nationalistic to some extent because of how their history is. Remember, Guinea Honor Secretary was the first to break the French hold in West Africa. And when he forced the French, and the French saw that they could not hold anymore for independence, the French then wanted to use the same tactics that the Americans helped them use in Haiti. That you have to pay the slave masters and the colonizers reparation because they have investment, they had the farms, they were mining the areas, and they're going to lose it, so you have to pay them. What they did in Haiti, for which today Haiti is not developed. For almost 100 years, Haiti were paying almost 30-40% of its GDP to France for reparation. Secretary refused. So then the French say, okay, you know what? You refuse? All the infrastructure that we build, we are going to destroy everything. So the French went ahead and used dynamite, blew up hospitals, bridges, dumped concrete in the sewer system, set the farms on fire, poisoned the livestock. They destroyed the entire Guinea. That is why Guinea, among the French-speaking areas, Guinea is the least developed in terms of infrastructure. So the Guineans, that is why they don't use the CFA. They use their own Guinea franc. Because the CFA are going to tie them to paying reparation. So the Guineans, they know this. So no Guinean president have actually really been close to the French. They resent the French. Yes, it's true that individuals may join the Legion and other stuff, just like Nambo put it correctly, just an area because they're trying to find agents. They're trying to find people that they can influence, that could be loyal to them in some form. But Doumbouya is actually America's boy. They brought him to power against Condé, who was then signing all of the mineral deal with the Chinese. And that was not going to fly. The week before Doumbouya came to power, he was hosted at the U.S. Embassy in Guinea with AFRICOM. And they were discussing, they were having dinner. And if you saw this guy that was just removed, the chief of staff or who, the black guy that made a statement about Traoré, you should see the questioning at the U.S. Senate when they were asking him that this guy right here, you say core values that we, so I'm just trying to put that so the French don't have no leverage over him. So if the Liberian government had actually even paid any attention, they would have seen that. But look, this is the main point that I want to make. It is not strange that the Bouaka government went to Europe, because this is what we have been trained. Since Ellen came in there, they internationalized everything else. That the moment there is anything, we need to call in the international community, as if this international community is some kind of moral or some kind of group that actually know how to do anything. useful for the interests of African or of Liberia. So that is why he went there. But look at what we should have done here. We should have, if we have respect, and I'm surprised like a guy like Boyka, that is all enough, that grew up walking barefooted all between Guinea and Sierra Leone, all these places, that actually grew up within that culture, in the tradition. The chiefs and the elders, they are stronger than even the central government. If we need to go back to our traditional culture, let it flourish and let us elevate it to where they are strong again. Because these are the areas, these are the people that live there. The same Kisi and Gola and Loman that are in the same area, they're in Guinea, the Pele, they're all in the same area. That is where they should have started. Make these people that live in the community, the respected people, the elders, they were supposed to come together, discuss this, and they can prevail upon the individual governments. Now, even before you go all the way to ECOWAS, Nigeria can't even keep its own sovereignty. Ghana is signing its own sovereignty over to the French and the Americans and the British all over the place. So they're really not going to be able to help you that much. This is where we should have started. And I keep saying this. No other people run themselves and lead themselves using somebody else's strategy or blueprint. We've been living, our people are living in those places. They don't have this kind of dispute, and they had it. The question is, how do our people settle land dispute? How do they settle it? So my young brother, Dr. Budi, you guys who are the theoreticians and everything. No, I just want you to look into this stuff, because you work on land, and we need to look at these things. How did our people settle land disputes and stuff to where you don't have widespread land fight all over the place? It never really existed that way. And if it came up, there were ways that it settled it. Look, the way in which you handle yourself and your ancestor is not that much different than how the other people's ancestors handle themselves. Yours is unique to your environment. You cannot import it from China or from anywhere else. So that is where we should have started. And I want to believe, but we don't have no respect. The next thing we say, we want to school, they didn't go to school. All of the suffering and struggle that is across Africa is the so-called school goals. It's the foreign system that is brought in. When people want to talk about the places, dirty money, go into the villages and towns and see how they conduct themselves. See how clean the place is. That is where we should have started, gotten the chiefs and elders involved. They're the ones that live in that area, let them talk among each other. My brother, if they came up with something, they can at least prevail, but you left and went to France. Or you leave, you go to, instead of Nigeria, you're going to go to people that can't even settle their own. I'm heavily invested in Nigeria. It's a quagmire. It's a death pit. Nigeria is worse than a failed state. Let me tell you something. Ghana is signing their own over every day. ECOWAS, AFRICOM have a base there. NATO have a base there. They just brought France in France that are getting kicked out of everywhere else. They brought France in sans and security deal that France will help them with illegal mining. This is the Ghana you're talking about. Ghana have defaulted on debt so many times they're up to the neck, yet they found oil and they're supposed to be doing good. Every time they're doing good, they're indebted even more. They can't even keep up. Excellent. So we need to look internally. Look, if the president is listening, he's an elder, he grew up in that area. They need to go and consult with the elders on both sides of that border. Let them mediate, let them talk. From there, they will go back to the prospective government. They can start to make some kind of progress from that because these are the people that live in that place.
Thank you.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, From education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology, Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
Yes, welcome. We are back. This is On Point. Listen, Honorable Namwe, this week, I guess last week now because we're in the new week, there were this speculations about the impeachment and removal, the attempted impeachment and removal of Yeke Koluba for the same thing we are talking, where they said he had made some inflammatory remark by saying, listen, if the map shows that the land belongs to Guinea, then it's Guinea's. And those who don't like him, especially the Unity Party that brought him to power, when he was talking and cursing and undermining the CDC government, the Unity Party was the financier, they were the supporters. And now they are saying he needs to be removed. He needs to be impeached and removed for behavior unbecoming of a Liberian citizen. Second onto that, hold on to that, of all the terrible things that have happened under this administration, Speaker Kun calls an urgent MRU parliamentary meeting in Abidjan over the border tension. I'll read briefly. This was March 26, reported by the editorial board of Front Page Africa. It said the Speaker of the House of Representatives of Liberia, Region Namwikon, has called for an urgent meeting among speakers and presidents of parliaments and national assemblies of the Minor River Union and member states. The proposed high-level meeting is expected to take place in Abidjan, the Ivory Coast, on March 28th through the 30th, 2026, aimed at addressing growing concern over recent border tension within the region. The same thing you were talking here. You had an issue where the Supreme Court rules that your action in the House in removing Volanticofa or ultravirus.
Correct.
They came and told you, say, live by the rule of law. And you disrespected them on several occasions. Now that your hand is in the fire, you want these people now to come and help you.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the diplomatic quagmire that we are in. I thought it was getting bad, but it's actually getting worse.
That's correct. And you know, when we were younger, there was this expression I never really taken time to think through, but they always say, you know, one good turn deserves another, something like that, you know. You have to be careful, you know, and you know, I listened to Musa Ability the other day, and he was giving, you know, his concept of the presidency in the neighborhood, so to speak, like Mr. Rabo in the neighborhood. You have to know your leaders, you know, your leaders have to know you. They have to know your intention, they have to know who they're dealing with. I don't even know if this president has taken a tour of the region. I don't know. The last time he was in, and then he goes to Ghana a lot, in Nigeria, you know, maybe Sierra Leone. You keep saying he's actually he came from Sierra Leone to come here. I don't know about that, Jerome. But you know, you gotta go to Togo, you know, you gotta go. You gotta make sure the region knows who you are. Yeah, I don't know his comfort level in the region. This president has been in government for so long, you know. But first of all, I don't even know if that is the protocol for the speaker to call for a meeting of that nature. The president, I believe, is supposed to call for a meeting of heads of state. You know, I don't know. Maybe the speaker is calling the parliament and all of that. I don't know. First of all, I don't think they recognize. I don't know if they recognize him because they came here and said he should step aside. and let Kofa take the chair and let Kofa be removed if he had to be, according to the Constitution. And they came in twice and tried to urge her to do it that way. We did not. So I don't know how what our standing is in the region. It's pretty difficult to gauge. Since the president came to power, I probably can count on one hand the number of heads of states who have come to Liberia to visit. That says a lot. And so yeah, it's like we're doing this thing backwards. So now we've gone outside of the region, and I've come back empty-handed, and now we're coming back to the region now, where I think we should have started in the first place. Start with the president. They told us the reason why the project is being built in 4 years because this president expects to negotiate peace, in the region. The whole a lot of peace conference. I think they call it the peace something. That's what the project is called, right? I think reconciliation, because they said the president will be doing a lot of meetings, reconciling, the region and all of that. And yet, we our first test of our the national diplomatic, prowess, and we're falling short. I've not heard it first.
Sorry, Mr. Nangwe. I just want to say something before you continue. The Guineans came to inspect the peace project.
They came to take a look at the peace project, right? To see where the water of their weight that nobody, And when we finished, I thought Anthony Gale was coming on. He's a younger man. I want you to tell what the whole sugar Nova thing. Maybe Jerome can tell. I hope we end and talk before we
I've seen them popping around myself. I don't even know what it is.
Sugar Nova has taken over. So, but I will pass it back to you, Jerome. I think we're making this thing unnecessarily complicated. I believe we should have started with in the region, and then go to ECOWAS, start with the Mano River Union as we're starting now, ECOWAS, the AU, and maybe eventually, if still in need, Nigeria plays a major role in the region. Don't forget that. Nigeria is a big power in the region. A lot of people listen to Nigeria, But again, I don't know how close we are to President Traore and this government, because this Dumboya guy is not necessarily a part of the Sahel, those areas country, but he's doing a lot of things that suggest, he's a cheerleader for what they're doing. And so they might have an influence over him, maybe Traore can be engaged to help us reach some kind of, but I think going to Europe without doing the homework that was necessary, I think that was a mistake. And I hope we will learn from it. I just hope it didn't complicate, the process for us.
Dr. Moody, in the 90s, when I was with EULA, I was vice president for administration then, and we met with the late president Jawara, Dr. Jawara from the West African area there. And yes, when the war was actually going on,
Jawara.
Yeah, Jawara, he was president of the AU at the time. And the question was, but it's taking so long, people are dying in huge numbers. You are chair. Why is it taking? That's how they were headed to Banjul for peace talk. And he said, to be very honest with you guys, he said, Liberia is very difficult to sell in Africa. He said, because everywhere you go, there's one underlying specter, which is Liberia has never fully embraced Africanism. So when things were going well, there were Americans on African soil, they claimed. Now things are going bad. You want us to go and die for them. That's why it took so long. Now here we are again. Instead of dealing with our own Africans, when we are having issues, when it's time to settle dispute, we overlook them. Now when the bone gets stuck in our throat, then we come back to them. It looks like history just repeating itself.
Well, first of all, Ele, you let a vice president for administration position because even
Yeah,
your
it
PM,
follow me everywhere I go.
you're not taking same position of the things. So they will
I
set
didn't
up
pick
any
it. I didn't pick it.
the day we set up
I got 42 years experience.
the day we set up any company to go do a business in Liberia will be vice president for administration of the pool. So yes, because that era that I got gave. So let's clear that first. No, secondly, look, one of the things I just want to touch on quickly, right? And this is to the point that Mr. Nango was making about George Weah. I was just having a quick look. Dumbuya came to power in September 2021. There was no issue on that border front with Liberia whilst he was there, and when George Weah was president. Clearly, again, touching on the point that Mr. Nango made, and I think Mr. Tawo as well on another point, something's gone wrong that has led him to think that, oh, I can get away with it, right? I can go there, I can put pressure, and I can do whatever I want to do. And I think it says more about the president that we have in Liberia and how weak he is. Look, I agree. I'm disappointed a little bit when you mentioned the comments from the former president of Gambia, and that Africans or some African countries see Liberia that way. Now, obviously, your people, the Congo people, were the ones that made us like that because they came in with this them versus us mentality, and they felt that they were Americans, and they were just in Liberia and trying to take away. And yes, and unfortunately, that had a negative impact on us. With regards to the speaker and what he is trying to do, I'm very cynical with these kind of things. This guy is just finding ways to steal money from the Liberian people. Because I don't understand why would you go. The president of the Republic of Liberia has already flown to Guinea, right? Spend time discussing this issue. If the president, the highest office in our country, again, whether we accept the system or not, that's another situation. But the guy who is the commander in chief of the armed forces of Liberia, the highest serving officer, law enforcement officer of Liberia, the guy who is at the top of government, has already gone to handle this thing. Where people plan to, like you coming from, say you want to go do your own thing somewhere else. It has to be selfish, personal, because all he wants to do probably take his girlfriend or girlfriends with him to Abidjan, let the Liberian government pay for expensive hotels for them to sleep in, spend our country money on nonsense. Because nothing, look, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but if Donald Trump goes to a country to negotiate with their president and he fails, Mike Johnson, you think, can go there and do what? There's nothing he can do. Well, there's absolutely
doesn't make
nothing.
any sense at all.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Nangwe. Yeah, there is nothing. It don't. And the only thing I can think about is, okay, let's just find a way to. Because again, the reason why, and this is my reason, and obviously you guys have talked about the diplomatic reasons and the history of our country versus the other countries in Africa. I think one of the reasons why these guys are not connecting with their brothers and sisters across the continent is because they're not doing government. These guys, I'll learn quickly so you can bring the person in. They build it in there for self-serving reasons. They're just there collecting money, filling up their boots. They don't understand what it means to be a government, how you have to relate to other people within the sub-region, how you have to work with your brothers and sisters across the borders. And they don't understand that. All these guys care about is how to steal, and that's all they're doing right now. And because of that, they're not engaging. Because, like you said, if they were engaging with their brothers and sisters, these things would have been sorted out way, way quicker than it's taking to sort it out. And instead of going to Abidjan to go waste government money there for nothing.
From the Unity Party headquarters, your name and where you calling from?
Is it enough, Mr. William?
I'm not from the Unity Party headquarters. I just had to come in. I lay here trying to see. I can just watch this show easily and go to bed. But for some, the things I'm hearing, I just got to jump in here. I'm sorry for the interruption. Mr. Gimmer, this information is bad. Intentionally, you guys are, disinforming the people. Mr. Given, you say you get called by say based on something. If you look at the document and the places for giving the security king, you know that's not what you get called by said.
What they correct us? What did he say?
You get called by say according to his research,
right?
According to the information he has,
right?
The place is 4 Guinea.
Oh,
that's what he said.
Yeah. So what a difference.
He was emphatic that the place is 4 Guinea. He got evidence, he got facts to prove that the place is 4 Guinea.
Okay.
And another thing here, little things are being said here. I don't know, man. I mean, look, one of the reasons why the president decided to send people to France is because of the argument of these borders that existed prior to his coming. For example, former Justice Minister Chesson had serious issues back in the day where they wanted to reclaim Liberia's land. In fact, Guinea is bluffing. Guinea has several thousands of acres of Liberia's land, which Chesson and other people compromised and turned it over to Guinea because of France. One of the reasons why this government is engaged with France is because France is consistently aware of the land dispute. Let's talk about places like Masadu in Guinea to the deep inside Guinea, which was Liberia, that was later on turned over to Guinea because the Guinean was fighting for it. And the Chesson at the time couldn't fight enough because he didn't want war. Guinea has more property for Liberia than anything. Look, people say for the 2-year experience. If you say somebody has for the 2-year experience, then you have to trust their judgment. The president have said that, it's easy to go to war than it is to come out of it. We know what happened to us in the last 14 years that we fought the Civil War. We don't want those kind of destruction again. That is why the president is taking his own time. I mean, fighting over a riverbed, it's just the riverbed, not even into the town. The riverbed is what they're arguing over, fighting over water. So, and I listen to Budi. Budi can talk extensively and confuse the audience, make people to actually believe that you know what he's talking about. The president runs the executive branch of government. The speaker is the head of the legislative branch of government. Remember, those are 2 different branches of government. The speaker do not need to take instruction from the president as to whether he wants to call for.
Mr. Given, we can't allow this man to come here and be sturdy. I never said
but man, get a man chance to talk.
He's lying. I never said he needed
permission. Man, you talking, won't let the man talk.
I said if the head of state, the president is the head of state. I said if the head of state cannot solve the issue, what can a speaker do? I didn't say you should go to him for permission. Don't lie.
Listen, let him. Go ahead, Chief.
The deal is that whether or not the president is doing something regarding the conflict doesn't give the speaker the right to also exercise his authority. What they are doing is, since the executive is working, the legislative wants to somehow push them from the back. I enjoy. He's becoming like Victor Nandi. They talk a lot of stuff, and you kind of wonder, okay, where are they going with this? Look, everything is going on fine here. The Guineans understand that it's very difficult to fight with Liberia. Remember the Conadu situation where the Guineans have also crossed. Imagine somebody born in Kwaduboni, his sister born across the border. Both of them are biological, but from different nations. How can they fight? The same thing happening with the Kisi region now, where the whole fragile started. The Kisi people are on the side, the Kisi people are on that side. They all related like Tomofala, one of your people. Tomofala family is right across the border.
What do you mean one of our people?
This kind of war. They're not going to fight this war, and I think the president is doing the best thing. Like I've always said before, gentlemen, all of them put our hand on deck and develop this country. We can't always find the wrong things and
I think it's enough now, because if Ali were on the show and somebody was talking that long, he would tell you it's enough. So it's enough.
Come on. But Budi, leave the man alone. You've been talking your whole life.
The man wants to have his opinion.
You stop the man now. You're gonna continue talking. Like the man was about to land.
Turn the phone off, Mr. Gamer. Turn the phone off. If that man come on the show, he wants to have his opinion here. Let him come on the show.
That's because I get him, Mr. Gamer.
Yeah.
He's not getting anything because everybody is listening to you. And anyway,
Ali, you hit him round the nose, so you fed now.
Okay. Okay, let me respond. Let him go speak.
I'm watching. I'm listening to you guys.
Okay, thank you. If they hit you low, come back.
So first of all, Ali Kamara I don't worry about what he says, because obviously if he wanted to have his opinion heard, he would come on the show. But the fact of the matter is, none of us in this room have said at any point that we think that Liberia can win a war against Guinea. None of us have said that Liberia should go to war with Guinea. Mr. Nangwe said that they should use the diplomacy as much as possible. He just questioned the way they're going about it. Mr. Tao talked about using traditional relationships and elders. I've talked about diplomacy. All I said was, look, you asked me the question about the speaker. The speaker is head of our legislature. That's our national legislature, right? The House of Representatives are supposed to, they have the power of the purse. As far as I know, the president of the Republic of Liberia set foreign policies, right? That's why he controls the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's his job, to deal with foreign countries, not the Speaker of the House of Representatives. What he is doing is basically suggesting to me, right? And Mr. Tao, I'll land quickly so you can come in. What the Speaker is suggesting to me by his actions is that he doesn't trust the president's capacity to solve this issue. Because the president, first of all, went there to do something about it. He came by, he said, order your shut up. Nobody want to talk about it. You just sit down. The speaker said, no, I'm going to go talk about it. So the president said, don't talk about it. He said, no, me, I'll go. In fact, I'll not only talk about it in Liberia, I will go across the border to go talk about it. Then Aliyu Kamara can't call me and say, oh, I said this. No. At the end of the day, look, it's a waste of our country's money, right? There's no reason why he should be there. He should let the president deal with this. That's the job of the executive branch, and not try to undermine the authority of the president.
Okay.
Let me ask a question real quick.
I'm coming.
He won for what? He won for what? For what?
He said Jerome Gamer is greedy. He joined CNC because of his stomach. And he won war between the two.
No, it's not that war. He said he wants for wars.
Yeah, I know. That's what he meant to say. He said I'm greedy. I joined CNC because I'm hungry, and then I want to send the two countries to war. Listen, young man, you got your opinion. You are entitled to it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, go ahead.
Look, Kamara is listening. Or Valley, or whichever name he chooses to, or personality he chooses to be. Why? This is our problem, isn't it? Yeah, this is our problem right here.
No, he dropped the Waka. He don't want to use the Waka anymore.
Yeah, this is our problem right here. Whenever there is a problem, instead of addressing it from a national standpoint, everybody wants to attach himself to a personality cult or to some kind of interest group or political party. Nobody said anything here about going to war. No. Nobody said anything here about using force anyway. We are all talking about finding a way as brothers and sisters to resolve the issue. We are all just looking at different means. We are giving our input and our own advice on the different means that we think that the government should take. So I don't know why he came and made a whole bunch of fool of himself here, and people are listening to the stuff, to the show, and then he just made all kinds of statements. But this is the kind of problem. This is the same guy that seemed so rational 2 years ago when I came on the show, that he could see the same thing. If we are government were making the same mistake, he would see it. Because me and he were on the same page on a lot of this stuff. But then the government, and this is the whole thing here. He think because he come from Lofa, that all of a certain this government can do no wrong.
No, he's from Guinea.
Yeah, but Guinea already took the whole Lofa. So now, so that is how, yes. But no, but is really he talking about if you want to mention war, then you actually already at war because there is a military force occupying the place already. You are at war. So it's not us talking about war.
Mommy, you upside down.
Yeah, we are not the one talking about. We are not the one talking about war. There is already war going on.
Mommy, you from Lofa, you coming upside down or sideways.
Yeah, but this stuff right here is just sad. That every time and look, Baker made a very good point, and Dr. Booty buttressed it. But here's why it won't even work. They mentioned about George Weah. It won't work because, just like I said, nobody come into this government with any interest in Liberia. It is to make money. And that is why this system is bad. So Weah is going to leave when Bwaka is in trouble, when the Bwaka government in trouble, and they're looking at 2029 that they're going to go and resolve some problem. No. So nobody care about the country. And it would be the same thing if Weah was in power and he was in some problem and they would have called him Bwaka. It won't work. None of them they all want to see the next government fail. And it go from their leaders to their political followers and everything else. And this is what's happening to Liberia. And this is what electoral politics and the Western democracy in this present form that they give to us, that's what they yield. It's about making sure on the money the other person so they feel so that you can then argue so you can come to power.
Thank you, guys. Let's keep the conversation. Let's keep the responses to at least a minute so we can touch. We will not finish the whole agenda, but let's look at it. Let me welcome Mr. Mame. Mame, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. I like the show and I'm enjoying the conversation.
Great. Come on in. You came just in time. Now let's go to number 3 here. You can add on to any of the stuff, but Senator McGill was in Grand Bassa this going weekend. And the turnout was massive. I mean, it was huge. I was surprised in my hometown. This is 2026, not even close to the election, and it looks like the whole Grand Bassa County came out. Mr. Mame, you can opine on anything else, and then start on the new topic.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll be very quick. Issue concerning Grand Bassa. To be honest with you, because of the massive failure of this government and because of the ineptitude and the incompetence and the arrogance of this particular government, the CDC, even if they went to Lofa County, there will be a huge turnout. Maybe not only the CDC, any serious political institution, because of the massive failure of this particular government. If any serious political party went to any county, there will be a huge turnout for that particular political institution. So this is just the beginning of what is yet to come in 2029. The defeat of the Unity Party would be massive. I can tell you that. So the issue about the government, the dispute at the border, the government has already failed. In fact, this would be the definition of the legacy of the Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party government. This particular border crisis, if they fail to resolve it, I can guarantee you, generations to come will have a monument of Joseph Boakai and will be beating it every day for their failure, for letting our country to concede territory to Guinea, a country like Guinea. That particular monument will be built by our generation, and we'll have it in a little fence. You go there, you can beat it, you can slap it, you can do anything to it, to make sure that we tell next generation that the failure of this country and the concede of our territory to Guinea under the watch of Joseph Boakai, who claimed to have 43 years or 42 years of experience in government. And then when it comes to Yeke, I don't think those calling for the resignation or the expulsion or the impeachment of Yeke have any moral ground, not a single fiber of moral rectitude in any one of them, including the speaker, to ask for Yeke to be expelled, because these are people who don't even deserve to be in government. Look at what the few days. Look at the man buying cars from a woman, and he can't even pay her. The man going, his transfer just down, his zipper just open, all over the place. Look at how he took power. Call himself regime speaker. Has no respect for women, has no respect for the power and the position he holds. And it's men, they see men are coming to call for the expulsion of Yeke because he said something and he said he got reports, he got documents, or he got evidence, or he got some kind of research that shows that this particular portion of the land belongs to Guinea. Of course, I don't agree with him, but this is what politics is about, disagreement. Yeke said this thing is for, like this. I said, I don't agree. That's what it's supposed to be about. You can't impeach him for that. So thank you.
Excellent, excellent, guys. We are doing well with time. Let's go to Dr. Booty. We are on number 3. Here we see, we saw McGill in Bassa, massive crowd. His guest of honor was Yeke Koluba. And I mean, that was instantaneous. That was massive. I never even heard of the mobilization and planning. It just happened. Look at the turnout.
Well, first of all, nice to see you again, Mr. Mami. Great to have you on the show. You made a comment that made me laugh, and I'll tell you why. Not because of what you said, it's because of what was going on in my brain. You're saying that these guys will lose in 2029, but they are about to appoint Josiah Joker as NEC executive director. So maybe they're setting the stage to not lose, right? Because they can see the writing on the wall. But again, look, I don't want to waste too much time on it. I think you've nailed every aspect of what I might have said. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, I was trying to say that I've already seen the writings on the wall. They put the mechanism in place, but I don't care how they better go from in face. The owner will still sell it. Why supposed to?
Oh my God. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that somewhere this week. I can't have it better go fry
Victor, you remember during the campaign, Joseph Boakai? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say with the Yeke thing.
I thought you saw the goat already.
No. I carry the goat to the market now. No. With the Yeke thing, I think, look, I also agree with Mr. Mame, and I think not just the moral aspect of it, but again, it will be an attempt to censor someone who, again, you might not like his method, but someone who calls out wrongdoing in government. So yeah, I'll rest that.
Victor, during the campaign, there was a clip of Joseph Waga saying to the folk he had a skinny goat and he wanted to sell the goat, so he fed the goat a lot of salt and he sold the goat to the food man for more money. So as much as that goat face was frying the food, Joseph Waga sold it to the food.
I think Valley will call back again because he doesn't like that kind of talk.
Let's talk about McGill in Bassa. He said not good there. Look, a lot of people buying it.
Yeah. I saw the crowd, quite impressive. Senator McGill. He does, he does bring out the crowd. I think that's the second time in maybe about 2 or 3 months that he's gone to either Mark give you a basso, and he brings out the crowd. I couldn't understand what he was trying to do there. He said he was trying to swear people in as ambassador of CDC. I think he had a swearing in ceremony of the crowd. But whether it was to show off support for Yeken, I don't know. But I agree with, and let me welcome Mami. I agree. I think the attempt on our way to try to impeach Yeke, I think is a distraction. I don't know if what Yeke said, rises to treasonous, utterance. But I think we have bigger things right now on our hands to worry about, to spend our money on. And Miguel was right, I think, because he's a direct product of that kind of thing, where you've been dethroned and you come right back. He said if the government spends money, they will spend money to remove Yeke because they don't have the support, they don't have the numbers. So, but as soon as they remove Yeke, he will get re-elected by the people, again. And so, I don't know if it is worth spending so much energy behind. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with some of the way Yeke expresses himself, but it's a freedom, it's a democracy, freedom of expression with responsibility. I don't know what he said was what was reasonable, but I agree. I think trying to remove him at this time when we have so much else going on in the country at the border and all of that, I think it's a distraction. And so I hope that we will devote our resources and our energy, and hold together, because this is going to be divisive already. And a lot of people have come out. Marvin Cole of the CMC has come out to denounce that move, and now we heard Senator McGill on over the weekend come out to do same. I think it's going to divide, the legislature when we need everybody to hold together and try to find a way to confront what is happening at the border. So I think they should let it go, forget about it, and move on to other things. If they will have a discussion with Yeke or whatever it is, I don't know. But yeah, I think they should. I don't think it's worth spending money on like they would do, and also expending political capital on, because they will have to. Some people have to call in their chips, and and I don't know if they want to do that for now. But my friend Bali, first of all, he ran away from the show because he realized it has become impossible for him to come on this show and defend anything. His whole rescue team has deserted him. He's embarrassed. He is not going to admit it. But this is not the rescue team that he championed. The team has left, has left him, one way, and they're gone the other way. So if he has something to say, let him stop hiding behind the microphone. Come on set and talk to us. Let's debate the issue. Don't be calling, and painting everybody with a broad brush. Oh, the other man, you get it. You don't know what he's talking about. You talk to him until you don't know where he's going with it. Nobody understood what he said. If I must tell him that. Thomas Fowler is the rescue senator now. Why is he giving us Thomas Fowler? Thomas Fowler is not one of us. He said one of our people, Thomas Fowler. He doesn't know what the speaker wants to do. He said maybe the speaker is trying to, try and what? Isn't the time for trouble? We want the president to champion, and rally the country. And we didn't know Kofanam Richard Kun, to come and try to say what he doing, So, but I will pass it back to you, man.
Yeah,
Let's listen on somewhere.
let me go to Tower. We got limited time. Let's see, we can do this here in a minute each. The rally in Grand Bassa County, is it a sign or the beginning of the comeback of the CDC?
No, the rally in Grand Bassa County actually just proved my point that the Western populist, how you call it, celebrity style democratic electoral politics that are given to you is fraud. Because look at guys like there is a feedback. Somebody
guys, let's mute.
Yeah, look at guys like McGill.
Victor, can you mute?
Yeah, look at guys like McGill.
Can you mute?
Yeah, now just yesterday, this is the same guy. These are the guys that looted the country. These are the guys that ran a very, very bad government that they didn't even know the left from the right. That then out of a certain, this same guy, everybody's following him. So they give you a political system that is called elect and regret. The moment you elect, the next minute you are regretting. What difference the CDC do or this guy do that people are showing up? But this is the issue here. The honor develop They invest in the public. The youth are all over the place. They have nothing to do. They have no hope. So whenever any of them show up and they're able to go there and get some little food or some little handout, hope they all show up. So no, it really don't. It just demonstrates the failure of the governing system that is given to you, so that nothing is going to change in any way to move us forward by following the system. You're muted.
Let me make sure that nothing grounding behind me. Yes, Joseph Hodge. He says, I'm watching from Maryland County, Plebo-Sotocan District. This evening, Unity Party is having nothing to show to the Liberian people after 42 years of spirit. To our land is going away. Our land is going away. This is from the neck of, I think somebody here from Maryland County. You know where Plebo is. You know where Sotocan District is. Shout out to you guys in Maryland County. Thank you for tuning in. Mommy, let's go to this part. The UN passed a resolution this week or last week declaring transatlantic slave trade the gravest crime against humanity. Sparked global debate. Some countries refused to sign the resolution. What is your take? Why do you think this is headed?
Yeah, thank you very much. When it comes to the slave trade that occurred in the 1800s or 1900 thereabout, there's no argument that this was the gravest crime against humanity. Not only that they killed some of the people on their land, on their own land, not only that they killed some of them at sea, not only that some of them died as a result of the torture and humiliation that was carried out on the farms, but these people were working and not getting paid, and some of them were hungry, in excruciating, some in bad, some of the worst conditions imaginable. For years, for centuries, this particular group of people, blacks, were humiliated and they were treated like animals. Even after emancipation, they still found ways to discriminate against them. And yet, they got a few group of people who refused to sign this petition. Now, you can understand, let's just like America, you know they were beneficiaries of this particular, and not only that they were beneficiaries of this particular slave trade, but those at the helm of power in the United States even disagree with the few blacks that are remaining to even have the rights that they deserve. So what do you expect for America to the head of, not only the head, but those that are at the helm of power? Do you expect them to go and agree with something that they agree with? I mean, they disagree with? No. Europe, these are places that benefited on the backs of blacks to become developed or to become advanced. Now you're going to tell them, say, okay, the money that you made, the diamonds you collected, the agricultural advancement that you had, or give it back to the people that deserve it. They're not going to do it. They're not even going to sign it, because it's like undermining their argument that they were doing the right thing. But people with sound mind, people with level head, people who got objective analysis and understanding will come to realize that this is the right decision, and they will affix their signature to those documentation. But don't expect places where people benefited from the exploitation of the black man to come and agree today that they deserve reparation. They're not going to do it. Maybe later on they will come to their senses, but not in this particular moment. It's not going to happen. But I agree with that particular resolution that yes, the black man was ill-treated. Not only that the black man, but slave trade as in general was the worst kind of humiliation in humanity ever. Thank you.
Okay, let me go to Dr. Booty. Dr. Booty,
as you're going to Dr. Booty, I want him to please educate us too on the opposition leader's position in the UK, in Britain, who has come out to condemn this resolution. Dr. Booty, please, I hope you'll be able to talk to that.
Dr. Booty, let me read some numbers to you. there are two dimensions to this slave trade here. Some folks are saying if you're going to condemn slavery, condemn the whole slavery thing. Don't just limit it to the transatlantic. What's happening to the one prior to that? The 14 to 18 million Africans that were taken over by the Middle Eastern Arab slave trade that happened. What happened to that one? That one spent 1,300 years. The Atlantic spent 400 years. Both of them, same methodology. People died during transit and all of that. If you're going to target slavery and you want reparation, why not the entire thing? Why not? Why limit it to one? This is where the problem is coming from. Your take.
Well, the thing is, obviously, I don't have the numbers, but I don't think they're comparable in terms of the number of people that were taken out of Africa during the transatlantic slave trade and during the Arab
Trans-Sahara.
Trans-Arab slave trade, right?
Trans-Sahara.
Yeah, I have the numbers here.
The one that Mr. Tao just talked about, all the technical terms and so on, you know it. But the other thing as well is, I'm glad that you mentioned the period, right? You know, you're talking about something that will happen over 1,300 years or something like that, compared to something that happened in 400 years, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you have 14 million over 1,300 years, and you have hundreds of millions or tens of millions over 400 years, that's way more in terms of an impact than the one the transit Arab one that Mr. Tao mentioned. Furthermore, in terms of the benefit, because when people talk about reparation, and Mr. Mami touched on this already, when people talk about reparation, we're saying, look, you use us as free labor, right? Here is what our free labor created. Look at the wealth that our free labor created. Let's get some of that wealth back, right? So you can see the tangible wealth that our free labor created when it comes to the transatlantic trade, right? Whereas with the transit Arab trade, again, historically, I've not seen it. You know, we know that most of the development in the Arab world happened recently, and it's attributed to their oil and mineral resources, whereas the US, Britain, most of Europe, right? Everything that they have, everything that they develop have come from free labor that we had to offer, right? And that is what the reparation is about. You took this labor for free, you develop, you have all this money, give us some of the money back to pay us for the work that we did. That is one of the difference. Now, Mr. Nangwe, I was talking to my cousin a couple of days ago or yesterday, I think, about this. She lives in the U.S. And we were talking about Kemi Badenoch. The only thing I can do is apologize for my Nigerian sister, because there's a Nigerian author called Dr. Shola Moshugbemimo, and she refers to people like Kemi Badenoch as racial gatekeepers. So these are black and brown people who are in close proximity to white people, and they're willing to put their own brothers and sisters down just so that they can be seen by the white system, right? And that's basically what she is. And, you know, this woman wants to be, she wants power so badly that I'm sure if her mother sneezed, she'll give her away to the, to be killed, right? Because that's how much she wants power. Because for someone who is, I think she's second generation British, right? So her parents are from Nigeria and she was born here and grew up in Nigeria. This woman, like most Nigerian families in the UK, well, the older families, they will send their kids back home to grow up in the system there because they felt that here was too corrupting for cultural education. For someone like that has been trained in Nigeria, that understands Nigerian culture and the value and the beauty of African culture, especially in the Nigerian context, to say some of the things that come out of Kemi's mouth, there are days, you want to say certain things, then you say, look, if you say it, they'll say, oh, she's a woman, you're not supposed to say those kind of things. Exactly. I can only apologize like I did with my cousin yesterday and say, look, you're sorry. That what came in there, you're sorry. There's nothing else to say because she's what you call a racial gatekeeper.
Thank you. Your name and where you calling from?
All right, thank you, Mr. Gavin. This is Elvis, calling from Minnesota.
Go ahead.
All right, hello to you in the panel. I just want to chime in on the slavery thing because I think it's important to give some light to it. I think the fact that Ghana went to the United Nations, quote unquote, representing, Africa and in solidarity with African Americans and some Caribbeans, asking for reparation, I think they were out of place. And, even though this is a civil matter in terms of the legality of it, Ghana has really no course of action because they will have to establish that they were injured, that they, slavery was injurious to them, and that they, by that, have a course of action to ask for reparations. And some people, some segment of the African American community here are incensed by the idea that Ghana is asking for reparations for them, and they were, they partook in the slave trade that happened and brought their ancestors here to the United States. And I think that's one of the things that the United States government said, that Ghana, can't ask for reparation because, one, they partook in the slave trade, they sold slaves, and as such, how are they going to, even if they give reparation, how are they going to give that money to, the African Americans, for example, in the United States who went through slavery, So, and secondly, with the whole trans-Saharan slave trade, we know what happened with the Zinj in Iraq, the people who went there, and, that's a whole other thing. I'm sure Mr. Tower know that history. But for me, I'm just saying that you have to establish damages. What damages can Ghana establish that they suffered during the slave trade? And I think countries like Liberia, for example, who has a history of descendants, and descendants whose ancestors were enslaved, and could have made that case as a nation state at the United Nations because that's an appropriate forum. You also have countries in the Caribbean who ancestors were also enslaved by the British, by the French, by the Spanish, who could have came to the table in solidarity with all other countries in Africa who maybe have had people of slavery descent. Sierra Leone and Liberia and some other countries who repatriated back to the continent. I think Ghana going there and trying to make that case was just out of place, and I don't support what Ghana did. I think what the president was doing was kind of disingenuous because you have to lay out a case. You have to go in there and bring a case and show that you were injured, and the fact that it was a crime against humanity, is fine. But Ghana didn't show that they were injured. Liberia would have made a better case for African Americans descendants who went to the country. Sierra Leone with the Creoles who were in that country, but not Ghana. I just want to go and make those points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just speak back for 10 seconds on a couple of things?
Yes, and then I need to go to Tower. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think first of all, when he says that Ghana wasn't injured, that's untrue. Because if you visited Ghana, I have. There is the slave house in I think Cape Coast or something like that, where slaves were taken through. Right. The fact that some people in Ghana sold slaves does not mean that others were not taken forcibly as well. Right. So that's something Mr. Elvis Morris needs to try and learn. That yes, Africans sold other Africans, but majority of them were taken forcibly. Apart from the ones that were sold, some people, the white slavers went in and forcibly took people and put them on ships and took them as well. Right. And even if Ghana made the argument and they don't have a stake, the countries that have the stake or standing can then claim the reparation. The fact that they made a complaint on their behalf. South Africa went to the ICC and complained on behalf of Gaza, right? You can't say, oh, well, they didn't kill South Africans in Gaza, so why are they making a complaint? No, so that, yeah, I just wanted to point those out.
No, I mean, you're right. Even the dignity of the black man. I don't think Ghana had to necessarily have a direct stake, but there were a lot of slaves that were sold by Africans themselves on the continent than just overseas. So that point shouldn't be lost on us.
Mr. Tower, here we are talking about reparation, and Elvis is talking about angel, right? You got to be an angel party. Ghana is now benefiting from the slave trade. Ghana is now the #1 spot of destination. Tourism, they are using the castles as money making, and they are reaping in billions. So how can they come and form part of the angel crew? Your take on it?
Okay. So look at what happened here. I will lay out something quick. When it comes to the slavery, the transatlantic and the trans-Sahara, the first known recorded history is that the Arabs created the institution of slavery against the Africans. They set up the institution. They started it to work, but like, oh wait, hold on. So you can just grab people from another place in Africa and move them. Okay, so they created the institution. It was brutal, and just like Dr. Booty pointed out, you're talking about 1,300 years. It still don't make it right. And the number of people versus 400 years or 500 years, and the number of people, the impact. When the trans-Sahara slave trade took place, the kingdoms of Africa were still established because the Arabs did not do the kind of invasion, the kind of tearing down of an entire empire and society like the way the Europeans did it. It was wrong, but it was not as brutal. So then the Europeans create the commercialized slavery. The Europeans created the commerce. So look at what happened. My young brother Elvis came in, he said something, and that's a valid point that is raised. But let us not miss this, because I already see some African Americans already, and I have a big African American family, and I already spoke to them about this. We should stop trying to get caught up into the nitty-gritty. Let us look at the larger picture. Ghana, the whole of West Africa was injured. The history is there that by removing, and nobody just got up and sold slaves, by the way, that narrative comes from the European to justify and cover up their crime. These people came in with guns and they were raiding. Go and look at when they told them the Benin Kingdom and Dahomey and all these places and before, after they subdued completely, and this became the form of commerce. It's just like today we are in the capitalist system. We all partake in it in some form that affect us, but we are subdued into it. And this is the only means of commerce actually that dominate. So when we all take part in it, we actually still affect and harm our own people. So it can't take away that, oh, okay, you see, you didn't like the capitalist system also, but then you own business and you operated letting charge for interest and all this stuff. So we should not miss that the Africans just wake up and just start selling people. The Europeans came in, they raided these places. There were battles between them, like in Dahomey and places like in the Oyo Empire and the Benin Kingdom for almost 100 years until they raised them down. And then that was reluctantly that started going on. That beginning only mean you destroy all livelihood. And this is the only way by which people then can earn money. They can sustain themselves, and that became the trade. We're not saying that part is right, but this is how, so they want to dwell only on that part that the Africans sold their own people is not true. They don't have one proof to show you one king anywhere definitively that just went in and started selling their own people. So, but look, Ghana was injured. Kingdoms and great civilization were toned down. So we should know this. What we should try to do here is this, is that if there is reparation, which I don't know really what that means, but if there is it don't mean the African Americans, that the diaspora that are set up, who suffer maybe the grievous in terms of, there can be reparation for them. In Africa, it don't have to be money. It could be a turnover of some technology, investment in certain infrastructure to let the country develop. Read Walter Rodney's book, How Europe Honor Developed Africa. And so that aspect, so we should not be here to fight among each other. Let's look at the larger picture. Let's first go for the reparation and let us come together as one group, whether continental, diaspora, African, let's lock it in. But look, my brother Mambe, you made a point, and let me rest on this real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
That they need to, maybe one day they will come to the senses. No, they already know this. The reason those countries refuse, like the United States and other countries refuse to sign, is because the same concept and the mindset that was behind slavery, that was what behind colonization. Colonization is a form of slavery. And even worse, because now they came after the slavery, they pretended to end it. Then they came back into the continent and enslaved you and divided you up into economic zones that they control. So then they will be held responsible for that also. Then when you push them out in the name of some kind of quasi independence, they came back and they brought neoliberal policies, indebting and keeping control of the resources, which is still a form of slavery that we are suffering from today. So they're not making a mistake. They know that by recognizing that and signing onto it, then they come all the way to the present, that then they will have to relinquish those resources. They will not have to pay actual money for them. They will have to actually allow you to develop, which then will collapse the entire society. So they're not making a mistake.
Thank you. Your name and where you calling from?
This is Ali again. Thanks for at least giving me the opportunity for the second time. I wouldn't say much on this issue because I think Dr. Budi actually nailed it to an extent. Look, for somebody to come on here and say Ghana is asking for reparation for themselves means they really did not even understand the resolution. Because Ghana wasn't looking for reparation as Ghana. Ghana wanted recognition that slavery was worse than the thing that happened to the Jewish people that up to today they still killing people for. All right? Now, if you want to compare the slavery of the Arabs and that of the transatlantic, slavery is slavery and they're all bad. But if you look at the Arab slave trade, it was mostly religious. They took you, they brought you back, like the king of Tanganyika of Tanzania. They took you after a few years, they brought you back. It was wrong to take you in the first place. It was wrong to put you on board their ships and stuff like that. But they brought you back to your homeland. 98% of the slaves that was taken by the Arab slave traders brought them back to their homeland. In the case of the transatlantic, their identity was entirely taken away from them. Their history, their culture, their custom, their tradition, intentionally taken away from them. Did you know that there were parts of the ocean where they threw slaves when the abolishment of slavery, when the British decided to evade the law against slavery? Every time the British saw the U.S. force on the ocean, they threw not the British, I'm sorry, the Americans saw the British ship on the ocean, they threw Africans overboard for sharks and other things to eat. It happened in the thousands. So the comparison is not the same. And let's just say, in Russia, slavery is bad. Ghana wants the world to recognize that the most Holocaust that have ever taken place in the world has been in Africa always. Look at Congo. Zaire at the time, over 20 million people of the Zaire were killed by Leopold. Who's talking about that? They're talking about 6 million Jews. We're talking over 20 million killed. Their prime minister killed, decapitated, and completely. What's the assay on the man?
Yeah, this all.
Nobody could find him. So I'm not into this whole slavery thing because I have no slave ancestry, but to just come up and make it seem like you're so Americanized to the point where anything America disagrees with, you too must disagree with. I think that is bad. Junior Elvis is an intelligent man. Let him understand his root. And I really like the way you guys know this. This is not about Ghana. This is about Black people, the untold suffering that Black people have endured and continue to endure. This is for Americans. That's why the Caribbean in majority voted, except for the one place we all know is racist, which is Lionel Messi's country.
Yeah,
but the entire Caribbean voted for. So let us now say, Ghana is looking for reparation. Ghana got evidence. You're looking for facts? Go to the Amina Castle. They're there. Senegal got history. They got the slave dungeons, right? In Senegal, the records are there where biblical inscriptions were placed on walls and women were being raped. The no return hall. They're there. The evidence is out there. But thank you so much, Mr. Gibman. I know this show gotta go on.
Thank you. Let me go to Mame. Mame, something I know. I want to believe that Ali may have misspoken when he said the Arabian slaves were brought back. He forgot to know that the Arabian were the only group of folks that castrated all Black men to make sure that black people did not fertilize the soil, that there were no black men reproduction in Arabia. One of the worst crimes that ever happened to mankind. Today you go to the Arabs, you won't find too many dark-skinned. Those will be considered slaves. So I don't know where he's coming from. Your take on this?
Yeah, I made my point earlier, but I will agree with everyone. And I think he's missing a particular point. And that is the point you brought up. I was about to hit that point. Most of the, in fact, not all, almost all of the men who were carried in the trans-Arabian slave trade got castrated. The first time I read that particular thing in my history note, then I realized that man is the worst weapon that has ever happened to mankind. For you to take your fellow man and castrate him. Most other people, then, that's the reason why it was one of the worst forms of slave trade in the history of slavery. You understand? So, and the issue about Ghana is like you have a case. You don't have to be the victim of the case before you have your lawyer. Like Ghana is behaving like a lawyer in this particular situation. And not only that they are a lawyer, but they are also victims of the very crime. You can't tell me all along the coast of Africa, they got the Pepper Coast, they got the Green Coast, they got the Gold Coast, where these people came and brought superior weapons at the time. You will see somebody with a cannon, with a gun, and they tell you, okay, hold some smoke fish and give me 10 of your brother. You will say no. You're not going to say no, because even if you said no, the man will still take them. So these people were coerced. Some of them were forced. You understand? So slavery in its entirety was the worst form of human suffering. You can't compare it to anything, because if you want to compare it to the Holocaust, that's just 6 million Jews. I know all of them, their lives are important, very important. But on the scale, there's no match. And so we all have to agree. Somebody had to take the case. Ghana is the first thing in terms of conflict resolution is recognition. You have to first recognize that Africans were humiliated, and the slave trade was the worst form of human humiliation ever to happen. So that recognition alone is important. After you recognize them now, recognize the fact that the slavery was the worst form of human suffering, then you can go to the next step about asking about reparation. And if the reparations should come, they're not going to come to only Ghana. Liberia will get some, Senegal will get some, other places all around Africa, even in America, the black and the brown men who became victims of this particular slave trade, who didn't get any benefit at the time, at least their descendants would be able to experience some form of reparation. And that would be, I mean, it would be a, what you call, how do they usually call it? A soul cleansing moment. You know, it will be a moment where people will say, okay, I have closure. But until then, we're not going to have closure. We're going to continue this cycle. But at least I thank God that Ghana made the case on behalf of the African continent, or of the black and brown people. And at the end of the day, if we are recognized, we're going to get reparation. And I will say, hats off to Ghana for that. I appreciate that. And if anybody is going to make a case that Ghana does not have standing, the person is wrong. And I believe my brother is intelligent, but he probably just missed that particular part. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the end of our show. We are going to go around the table for our closing remarks. And please do us a favor. Next Sunday, we'll be here discussing national issues. Hopefully, Mr. Mame can come back next Sunday, join the show so we can discuss the issues. And starting next Sunday will be very important. Mame has to be here because we are going to be doing a series. We're going to be discussing Liberian history from the Rice Riot, 1979, April 12, April 14. Those events will be discussed. Those tapes will be played. We will be analyzed. And for those who are too young to have known what happened in 1979, the Rice Riot, April 14, and then April 12, 1980, and so forth, we are going to play as many of the original tapes for you to hear. For those of you who have not known Bacchus Matthew, you will be privy to listen to the great, I think the greatest Liberian orator of all time, Gabriel Bacchus Matthew. You will be able to listen to some of the things, and then you can make your decision from there. Mr. Tower, your closing.
Yeah. Hi to my fellow panelists and to the viewers. I'm glad that I'm here today. But look, to close, when it comes to the land issue, the border issue, we should try to get the chiefs and the elders in the alumni area involved. Everybody that is familiar with that place that I talk to people on here, they have families that live on both sides. These powerful kingdoms and chiefs and elders can carry on a lot of mediation. They're the one who live in that area. So that should be an area that the government should try to kind of work with. When it comes to the Yeke Kaluba stuff, it is because of the kind of the war. That's one aspect, but the form of government that we have that open up to just about anybody. That is why guys like Yeke, what does Yeke even contribute? This guy is supposed to be representing a people that have real problems to be solved. All he does is, from the time that I've been hearing him, he's cursing just all over the place. He does nothing. He makes no real contribution. But you see, but this is what the democracy that we have, that is what it offers. People, somebody.
Sorry, Joe. Sorry to interrupt. I got to run, but thank you guys. I'll see you next week.
You can just do.
Yeah, he got to run. The CMC always running. So, yeah. But that's the issue. So, and when it comes to the McGill stuff, it's the same problem with our democracy. Look at how criminal these guys are. That just 2 years, 3 years, they're back on the street. That he even ended up in their house. This is why it is. In a real structured governing system, McGill will either be in jail, or if he's not arrested, he's not coming back around power. Because what was his contribution? What did he actually contribute that actually impacted the country in a positive way? Not just McGill, but I'm talking about all of them. We're talking about McGill. So the fact that they refuse, and this the strategy, they refuse to develop any of the youth, any of the people, so that then they are completely down, they have no hope, so that anytime they show up, then the damage goes in the society and kids rush to them. You think if these kids were engaged, they were developed, they were working, they're pursuing a career in the future, you think they will be available for them to go hang around where McGill come, or where George Weah come, or where Ellen Johnson Sirleaf come? No, they wouldn't. So these things are intentional. So they have this kind of people follow around with them. And when it comes to the slave issue, both Arabs and Europeans committed grave crimes against us. And those crimes, other than they're never going to be willing for them to admit. Look, when you are weak and you are powerless, nobody's going to respect you. What Africa needs to do is to build itself and build capacity and ability. You don't even have to, and you take control of your resources at some point. You don't have to go ahead and do a reparation. You see people coming confessing. People will be coming and confessing and apologizing, but they're never going to do it. Like I said, for them to admit the slavery is to then admit to colonization, which is another form of slavery, to the neoliberal or capitalist policies that is not decimating the continent through wars and instigation coups. It's the same concept that they're using. They will have to admit to that. So the minute will have to relinquish that. And they're not willing to. And Africa must know what is China, what is Russia. Their method of dealing with you is different, even though we don't have any historical record with the Chinese enslaving us. But the concept of them finding an area where they can get the livelihood from, that they can exploit to their benefit at the expense, is the same. The whole world come together and they all decide amongst themselves how to exploit. Now the pathway will be different. The Chinese can help you. What you can do, you can use them for you to build capacity with the multipolar world. The Russians can't do that for you. They're not going to do it. You think they're going to do it so that they don't sell you soybeans and wheat so that you can produce for yourself? Where are they going to sell theirs? Or so that you take control of your diamond, your gold, so that they can buy at real value, so that the price, the cost of living in their own country can go up, so that people can riot. Or the Chinese are going to do that. We have to recognize these. Once we build our own capacity and we can actually rise up, people will come to you and confess. You don't have to come to their court or to their UN and say, yeah, but it's a good start. But we always stop it there. My point is we should not stop it there.
Thank you. Mr. Mame,
Yeah.
I mean, this is. In your closing, I know I want you to touch on every point because you came last and found out. I want you to include in your closing just what people talk about the colonial mindset. But look, our brothers that are black like you and myself, most of them now in certain countries consider themselves Arabs. They don't consider themselves Africans. I mean, black as you and I are. They will tell you, like the Somalis, people from Tunisia, all over the place, they will tell you they are not Africans, even though they are black and they are discriminated against by the Arabs. But yet and still, they say they are not black. They don't want to be called black. Your take on that?
Well, it's what you call identity crisis going on in their brain. Like, you don't know who you are, but you don't want to accept who you are. All right, so they are just a victim of identity crisis. Yeah, but let me go straight to the issue about this crisis at the border. First thing is, I'm irked and exasperated over Guinean army coming to encroach on our border. I'm very, very disappointed in this government. I have to say it. I categorically and unequivocally condemn it. And some of the actions that should have been taken by our government was delayed, and that's the reason why it is so. It's not too good to get certain age group of people in certain positions. They will be slow. The president wakes up at 11 o'clock. He gets to his office by 2 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, he's back home. What do you expect such a person to do when there's an emergency? They're not going to act fast. They're not going to be swift. That's the reason why I told there was a show going on the other network, and I heard paid pundits and paid propagandists talking about, oh, we're in a new era now. We don't need people to have military might. They will take the money, 23 million, and put it in the budget of the NSA, but then take 17 million and put it in the budget or thereabout, and put it in the budget of the military, and expect the military to perform. The very money they will put in the NSA budget, they will siphon and funnel those resources and put it in their personal pockets. And then when it's time to take action, there's no money. And then, but like I said before, and I will say now, the military of our country always has to be prepared. Whether or not we use them, they must be equipped, they must be prepared, so that in the event of any eventuality, they can be able to perform their function. It is the role of the military to protect our territorial integrity. The president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, is the #1 person to ensure that we direct our foreign policies. All these things by the legislature is a help. Yeah, we need all hands on deck, but it's not going to cut it. So the president has to treat this thing as an emergency. The president has to close the border. The president, in fact, there are other borders that are still open, even though they have taken over the place in Solomba. Mind you, the Guineans are intending to go to other places as far as Nimba. So they need to start manning those border points. But before the people can go there, our military have to be present. They have to put barbed wires there. They have to put the what they call razor wire there to deter them from even entering. They shouldn't, because it happened to Solomba, they shouldn't just sit and stay to Solomba. Those people have intention to go along the border to where they claim that is their land. Even though Liberia got more property in Guinea than Guinea has in Liberia, but they will still go and claim it if we don't put in the necessary checkpoint or the necessary mechanism. So the government has to ensure that the president himself, the chief of staff, inform the public as to what is the root cause of this problem and bring on board those people who are alienated as a result of political reason, beg them, ask them for help so that he can be able to go and solve this problem. Because if this problem is not solved, our generation will never forgive Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party government for this particular massive failure. And the issue about Yeke, they can forget about it. Yeke, if they decide to expel Yeke, even if they succeed in expelling Yeke, which would make him very more popular than he is right now, it's just a distraction. Because at the end of the day, Yeke and his people will still bring him back. So what's the point of wasting our resources, wasting our time, wasting our money when we should use that time and resources on the issue about finding ways to be able to man our borders, empower our AFL to go and take. We're not going. Nobody should even talk about discussing war. Those people who are doing warmongering and fearing war are the people in the Unity Party who they are paid pundits and they are paid propagandists, and they don't even want to hear about the suggestion of having AFL on our border when it is the responsibility of the AFL to protect our border integrity and our border positions. So nobody has ever requested for anything related to violence, But we are saying, since it's their responsibility by the Constitution, let them go and perform their duty. And if the government is afraid, as you tell, or why they're afraid for the EFL to go and perform their constitutional and fiduciary responsibility. But as far as I see, this government have abdicated its responsibility. They have failed in their responsibility to protect the state and its territorial integrity and our borders. And for that reason, we will never forgive this government. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our show. Let me give a shout out to our female NCAA teams that have gone to the Final Four. We got UCLA, and then we had the University of Connecticut. The Yukon ladies are in the Final Four. And finally, I want to take off my hat and salute the Republic of Senegal. They were in France this weekend to play Peru, and the Moroccan national team and their lawyers were trying to intimidate them that they should not attempt to parade the streets of Paris with the African trophy. And the team defied them, and they paraded in France with the African Cup of Nations. They claimed themselves to be the champions of the African continent. And they paraded the streets, the stadium, with pride and dignity against threat of lawsuits, of violence. So I want to say, for those of you who are from a small country, you be intimidated by a big country, Senegal proved to Morocco, no matter who you know, where you are, how much you got, our rights are our rights. We want this trophy on the field. You are not going to intimidate us. We are going to parade, and they did. And the photo is everywhere. I want to salute Senegal. That's a nation with sovereignty. You defend it on the field. Liberia, you need to defend your territory. Even if you can't win them, at least you can go out there and bloviate, make noise, scare them. We'll put the devil outside, or we'll do whatever to show that you have some guts. But to just relinquish everything and say we can't fight, so we'll let them come and take what they want and we'll set it up diplomatically. It says a lot about who we are. And once you say that, Lofa County, don't be surprised if you are part of Guinea. It is real. Someone just put in our comment section from Lofa County that the Guineans are still on our soil. And not only are they on our soil, but they are setting up tax havens where now they're going to be collecting taxes from the people in Lofa. That says a lot about who we are. If we can't defend, if we can't say something, I don't know why we have our government. The number one responsibility of the state is to protect its citizens from foreign threat. We can't do that. I don't know what to say, but thank you very much for tuning in. As always, we say we are all Liberian, no matter what. We will be Liberian, we'll always be Liberian. Thank you, and God bless.
We are Liberian. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. United everyone. Liberia, oh. United everyone. Liberia, be Liberian.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.